Now, next up is Deepak Singh. You may remember Deepak from our second Ignite, where he talked about open scientific standards and why that was necessary. This time he's going to be talking about nanotechnology and its future in medicine. So please welcome Deepak.
Thank you. So most of you in this room have probably written complex computer programs which sometimes don't work, and you have to debug them by adding stuff like breakpoints and figuring out why they're not working. Now just imagine that instead of lines of code, you had the human body. And what if you could, yeah, that's the human body. And what if you could put little breakpoints inside the human body, which when things went wrong would shine like beacons and tell you what's wrong, or would send out little signals which would send you email or something like that? Well, sounds like the Fantastic Voyage, but in reality, it actually happens. The next thing you're going to see is not a cartoon, it's not an iStock photo picture, it's actual pictures of rats, not humans, I'm sorry. But they do light up like beacons and tell you where things are wrong. So why does this happen? It's because of nanotechnology. Yes, the Bucky tubes and Bucky balls, which do make pretty pictures, you also find them in everything from cosmetics, from lipstick to your Palm Pilots, if anybody still uses them, paints and wrinkle-free pants. But there's a lot of stuff happening which actually makes them useful to human beings. And the reason it happens, lucky, nanotechnology happens to be at the same size as the building blocks of the human body. So 1 to 100 nanometers, that's how they define it. I don't know why. Anyway, the reason and the advantage of this is because they are the same size, you can take advantage of cool properties and make you draw pretty pictures because nanoparticles self-assemble into whatever that is. And also allows you to tune the physical properties where just by changing the shape and size, you can change the color, which can be useful, and you'll find out why. And, oh, cool. This guy actually cut off the optic nerve in a hamster, took this clear liquid, he still doesn't know why it works, put it inside the hamster, voila, 6 weeks to 6 months later, the hamster got its vision back. Then, because he was a doctor and he liked fooling around and he liked cutting people up, he tried using it for surgery. They're not very good looking people. And what he found was, and what he found was that it actually healed wounds. It allowed you to do surgery in a clean environment. You just stitched the guy up and walked away and things just worked. And they still don't know why it works, but it's pretty cool and they have a patent. But in the end, it's all about the tricorder. All of us want to build the medical tricorder, and we will get there because of nanotechnology. There's other technologies which make it happen, like microfluidics. What microfluidics allows you to do is, take nanowires, put them on this little chip, have these little microfluidic channels. Today, if you wanted to do the kind of experiments you do on these, you need a big lab with millions of dollars of big instruments. Someday, you'll be able to do it on a chip about that size and find out every disease that you have and what you may or may not have. The reason you can do it is due to techniques like dip pen nanolithography that allow you to write Northwestern University, but also allow you to make microarrays and whatever that is, conducting polymers, protein arrays, nanoparticle lines, and cool-looking words with nano in them. Naomi Hallis at Rice has these things called gold shell nanoparticles. These are these hollow shells from gold, which you can control the properties and their color. But they have other cool things. You can put antibodies on them and take them to tumors in the human body, which has a use, I promise you. And the way it works is you shine a light on these things, and there's something called plasmonics, and they have a plasmonic effect, and it wraps the heat around this nanoparticle. And what it does is it zaps the tumor right in place without zapping anything nearby it. So if you happen to someday get chemotherapy like this rat, you'll probably like that. It only zaps up the tumor. You can also put things inside the human body, make them swim around and find places that they want to be at, and then hopefully someday give a signal which will tell you what's wrong. Those are cells on a chip. So someday people want to do this inside your body, not outside. So, okay. And if you want to target drugs to particular parts, there are some pretty nasty drugs which are actually pretty useful. You can put them in things like dendrimers, where they're safe and sound till you actually want to release them, take them to where you want to, let them go, just do their thing, and hopefully you'll be better one day. It's all cartoons though. But these are actual drugs on the market. That's a drug called Abraxane, approved by the FDA 2 years ago, which is a recycled something. And that's a dendrimer-based HIV drug that's in clinical trials right now by an Australian company called Star Pharma. So it's not all gobbledygook. It actually is happening right when we are. But in the end, all of us want to build these smart submarines and bombs. And you can do it by building these multifunctional whatever, where you can put an imaging agent, a cause of disease sensor, a cancer targeting agent, and the actual drug, which is supposed to fix things, all on the same thing, and they do things just when you want them to. Your $1,000 genome, which will allow me to know what your exact DNA sequence is, that will also happen because of nanotechnology. It's actually a product on the market today. You can buy it for a few $100,000. And something's wrong. Of course, tomorrow's medicine, which will be predictive, so you'll know what your what's going to happen to you before it happens, but you'll be able to prevent it before it happens, hopefully. And it'll be personalized for all of you in this building, just for one of you. And it'll happen because of nanotechnology. I'm Deepak. I have a blog at mndoci.com, and I have a web screencast sharing site called bioscreencast.com. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deepak. That was excellent.